grace and grit. It was a distinct honor and privilege to try this case. Finally, and importantly, I want to thank the Floyd family and his loved ones for their patience and cooperation for the past 2 years. Their strength is admirable. I'm going to be followed here at the lectern by FBI Special Agent in Charge, Michael Paul. SAC Paul.
Thank you, Charlie. Again, my name is Michael Paul. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of the FBI's Minneapolis Field Office, which serves Minnesota and North and South Dakota. I want to start by echoing the comments of our acting U.S. Attorney and acknowledging the service of the prosecutive and investigative teams in this case. Their work from the very get-go on the tragic day that this began was prompt and swift. It was collaborative, not only between investigators and prosecutors, but also with our partners here in the state of Minnesota, and it established an important standard for us for swift investigative action in these types of matters. I also want to thank the work of the jury and their discerning ear, their diligence, and really their fortitude in bringing forth a very important verdict for our country. From the very beginning, the case had great potential to help inform an ongoing debate across our country about law enforcement. And today, their work, their diligence again, and their verdict helps us reaffirm a very important standard for all of law enforcement across America. The FBI takes very seriously our civil rights investigative responsibilities. It's one of the most unique investigative jurisdictions and one of the most important programs that we work. These cases are very important for defending the rights of our citizens, and it's important for us to remember the consequences of these types of incidents as we go forward. And this case, again, has established a very important benchmark for all law enforcement officers, agents, deputies at all levels of law enforcement across America. That we are responsible, we are professionally accountable for our actions and caring for those that are in our custody and protecting United States citizens, even those that have broken the law. And so again, my great thanks and appreciation for all the portions of the justice system that worked collaboratively and in a timely manner on this case in order to make sure that justice was done. And the FBI remains committed in the future to work these types of matters with our partners. And we're so lucky and so proud to have the collaborative relationships that we have in the state of Minnesota to work on these matters when warranted. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'd like to invite Assistant United States Attorney Leanne Bell to come to the lectern and talk about the case from the trial team's perspective.
Good afternoon. My name is Leanne Bell. I'm an Assistant United States Attorney for the District of Minnesota, and a proud one today. On behalf of the team, we want to say thank you to all of those who supported this prosecution. We haven't been able to talk about George Floyd much during this trial, but as one of the brave bystanders said, George Floyd was a human being. He deserved to be treated as such. He was a son, a father, a significant other, a family member, and a friend to so many. His family endured so much to get here. And we want to thank the Floyd family for their patience and cooperation during the course of this investigation and prosecution. My hope, the hope of our team, is that today's verdict will bring a measure of justice. We also want to say thank you to the jury for diligently listening to this trial and through it all, hearing his voice. This trial has been long and challenging for many reasons, but this jury carried out their civil service with attentiveness and earnestness, and we thank them for their service. We would also like to express deep gratitude for those witnesses who testified at this trial. To those brave bystanders especially, we say thank you. You showed so much courage that evening and through multiple trials. You knew what was right, and you said it out loud. Last, to the FBI for their support. We could not have done this case without our law enforcement partners and all of the officers that act with courage and compassion to uphold the Constitution every day. Thank you.
We have now members of George Floyd's family here who would like to say a few words, and I'll start by introducing Felonious Floyd. Mr. Floyd.
How y'all doing? I'm Felonious Floyd, brother of George Floyd. I have my nephew with me, Brandon Williams, who George raised like a son. Today is a good day for us. That this is the first time that I ever seen something like this did. 4 white officers were convicted of killing an African-American man. I know a lot of people have been texting me back and forth. I'm grateful for what all these attorneys did today. And, you know, they my friends, you know, because they did a hell of a job. And after just watching what happened to Kim Potter, I was like, I'm still going to believe and I have faith, because I just wanted some time to be served from somebody for what happened to my brother. This is just accountability. It can never be justice, because I can never get George back. And no matter how many times that I pray at night and I think about my brother 24/7, it still is going to be hard, even though we just had a federal conviction and we already had the state conviction. But times, you know, will be probably a lot harder for me still, because I can't get my brother back. And at the same time, I hope that Congress, the Senate, whoever it is, they're looking at what's going on. Because if people are being transparent and they're also speaking out and the jury said guilty, 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 then up there in Congress, they ought to go ahead and say, let's pass this George Floyd Justice Policing Act to be able to help people of color be able to understand that they can move around and understand that they won't be murdered on sight. We need to end the qualified immunity. We need to end the no-knock warrants. We need to make sure there's no more chokeholds, and make sure all these police officers have their gear on, dash gear, body gear, all of it. Also, we need to start a registry for these officers to make sure that they can't leave from Minneapolis to get to Wisconsin and get a job there after you do something bad. So this is unfortunately a bad time, but it's also a good time. Like I said earlier, you come to some places and they might be wrong, but you're there for the right reasons. You know what I mean? So I just thank everybody who helped us out with this case. And I don't know how to act right now because I'm getting emotional. I got a lot of stuff going through my head. This has been a journey, and this has been over 2 years of the same stuff, back and forth, back and forth. But I just thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank these lawyers so much, because without them, we wouldn't even be able to stand at this podium right now just to be able to speak about what happened. So Benjamin Crump, I'd like to give him some credit. I'd like to give Keith Ellison some credit. so many people who had their hands in this case, and they just made it better for people. And I'm starting to feel like I can breathe again, but I just need you all to tell Congress to please read this. Don't let this tragedy hit your front door before you make a decision. Pass the law. Pass the George Floyd Policing Act. Thank y'all.
I'm Brandon Williams, the nephew of George Floyd. And I'd like to start by saying God is good. And I want to send a huge thank you to everybody that's standing back here. You know, throughout the trial, they constantly checked on us and made sure that we were okay. And a special thanks to Miss Selena.
Miss Selena.
You know, you were great, and we appreciate everything. She made it a lot easier for us to be here because, you know, we've been here so many times since May 25th of 2020, and these visits aren't happy. And, you know, she did everything, and she was so great to comfort us and make this a lot easier because it's hard. You know, it's a lot of sleepless nights. It's a lot of sad nights, holidays, birthdays, and you just wish George was here because, you know, he was so family-oriented, and we miss him a lot. And, you know, it's even worse because he was murdered. He didn't die of natural causes, and he should still be here. You know, this day is historic because just not too long ago, you know, the murders of Ahmaud Arbery, you know, were sentenced, found guilty in federal hate crimes as well. You know, that's like 2 in the same week or maybe the same month. I don't know the exact day. And, you know, that's historic for this country because oftentimes, you know, officers kill black and brown men and women, and we get little to no consequences. A lot of times we don't even get charges, let alone a conviction. You know, so we'll take this small victory, you know, and smile about it and be happy, but deep down we're still hurting. You know, we want this to stop. You know, this means so much to us because we've connected with so many families, you know, that's in similar situations and received no justice. And, you know, I'm shaking because my first trip here, the first press conference I did, I said that we're only coming here to get some justice and accountability. You know, and today was another step towards that. And you know, it feels good. You know, we were very optimistic today, and when they said that the verdict, that the jury were deliberating because we saw what happened in the Kim Powder sentencing. You know, there's no way that an unarmed black man supposedly accidentally killed and a cop is only sentenced to 18 months. You know, I found that very disrespectful and hurtful because, you know, I've connected with Dante Wright's family, and I just felt for him so bad because I know what Dante meant to Miss Katie and Mr. Arbery. So we were very optimistic and nervous pending the outcome of this verdict. So hopefully this is a step in the right direction for people that's in power to do the right thing, you know, to change laws and policies, you know, that's going to protect people from these situations. You know, and more than anything, that's going to hold them accountable and sends a message that says if you murder or use excessive or deadly force, it's consequences that follow.
Yes.
I think when you make a statement by convicting these officers, you know, they start to feel like, hey, maybe I shouldn't do it. I can't get away with it. Because in the past, they've gotten away with it so much. So all in all, I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that played a role in this. You know, thank you to family, friends, the people that don't know us, the media, everybody that got out and protested, that just sent prayers. You know, we really appreciate it because when these cameras go away, our pain don't. So thank y'all.
Yeah. And also, if they can make federal laws to protect the bird, then they can make federal laws to protect people of color. Thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Kovacs, what kind of sentencing will you recommend for these defendants?
Well, we're not doing questions, but thank you. We'll do that in due course. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Yeah, that was the attorney, George Floyd's family, Floyd called the accountability. White police officers held accountable for killing a black man. They said that they were nervous and optimistic as they waited for the verdict. They hope to see some sort of prison time, but they are sad what happened. And you also heard their version about that.
Well, do you want to see the state trial proceed? The aiding and abetting charge, is that the one that should still proceed in the summer?
Really, the crux of the prosecution's case and what they've been messed with throughout this trial is showing that through the videos that we've all seen, and through the bystanders that were standing there.
Collins in court this afternoon. Guilty verdicts delivered for the 3 former Minneapolis police officers charged with and convicted of violating George Floyd's civil rights. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Tom.
Support for this program comes from Minnesota's non-game wildlife program and the live Eagle Cam. Swans, loons, turtles, and butterflies all benefit from your support. Find out how you can personally help at mndnr.gov/nongame.
We're going to get reaction now from a Minnesota member of Congress on our top story, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. As we've been hearing, Russian forces are marching toward the capital of Kyiv. Minnesota's 4th District Representative Betty McCollum is chair of the House Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense. And this past weekend, she was part of the delegation at the Munich Security Conference, too, which took up this issue of Russia and Ukraine. And she joins me now with the latest. Congresswoman McCollum, it's good to speak with you.
Nice to speak to you as well, but I wish it wasn't about Russia's invasion of a peaceful country of Ukraine.
Well, it was front and center, no doubt, at the Munich Security Conference. You were there last weekend. There was great hope for diplomacy. And you've said in a statement, never before have I witnessed such a unified stance like the one our Democratic allies showed at the Munich Security Conference in response to Putin's aggression. So what happened?
Well, there's 2 ways in which we are unified. The Democrats and Republicans in the House and the Senate are unified to condemn this unprovoked military aggression that Russia has created a crisis of its own making.
Now, you've said the Biden administration, with the bipartisan support of Congress and our NATO and European allies, will respond in a united and decisive manner. His actions, Putin's, should have severe consequences. What should those consequences be?
Well, President Biden announced what we were doing with some of the banks yesterday. He's increased the sanctions on Russians being able to move money with more banks. And so as President Biden's making this announcement here, Boris Johnson's making an announcement in the UK, the European Commission's making an announcement, Germany's making an announcement. Never before have we ever been this unified, and the sanctions will continue to grow. And the Russian economy is fragile as it is. The Russian people did not ask for this war again for Ukraine, and they are going to suffer and ask Putin